Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. In this video, we'll look at how to fill out the W-8BEN-E form. We'll look at each of the steps and what each of those mean. So again, first thing is, why would somebody fill this form? So W-8BEN-E form is a form that has to be filled by anybody who is doing business with somebody in the US. Imagine you are a company, or a person living in other country, let's say for India, right? And then you have some business transactions, or you are working with an advertiser, you're working with somebody else in the US, and they want to pay you money. In that case, the US company will ask you to fill this form, W-8BEN-E form. So again, right now, what we are looking at is W-8BEN-E form. So this is actually a form that will be used by entities. If you are an individual, then you would not use this form. Then you would use a different form that would say W-8BEN, but it will say clearly individual. Again, you need to do that. But again, in our context, this is for somebody who is actually like filling this as a company. So so to be very clear, this is imagine you're a private limited company in a country like India or UK, another country. Then you would be filling this form and giving to your US company who is going to pay you money, right? So firstly, there are a few things you need to fill out. So let's look at part one. In part one, you just give the name of the company and then the way registered. One important thing before you do this, you need to look at the version. So because in October, this is the latest version that you need to fill, because there are older versions you should not be using. So that's one important thing. And again, you need to check for this thing called entities, so that is what that part is, right? Now, once you do that, then you would come in and then fill in this, name of the company, where it's incorporated and things like that, right? Again, you don't do it anything in the number 3 form. But what you would do in number 4 is basically you would select this corporation, because essentially we are filling it as a private limited company. So that is why you would select a corporation. But let's say you are not a corporation, then you would use something else like a partnership or other things, right? But in our context, we would do that. So this number 5 is the most confusing one. This is the FATCA status and all of these things. So this is where, like many people could be confused. Again, if you look at it, it's kind of complicated, but I spent many hours reading this, right? In short, here what you would select is something called active NFFE. So FFI stands for Foreign Financial Institution. NFFE stands for Non-Financial Foreign Entity, So most of the companies, so FFI means, or financial institutions are companies like, Stripe, or, look at Razorpay, or companies like PayPal, all of these financial companies, right? Excuse me. Those do these, financial transactions. But in most cases, if you're looking at this one, probably you're not one of those, So I'm assuming so. So in that case, you would select active NFFE, meaning you're an active company doing non-financial transactions with a company in the US. So that's what the whole idea is. So that's all you need to do in number 5. And number 6 and 7, you need to fill in your address, basically where your street name and all of that, anybody can fill that, the country where you're residing, right? And if it's different, then you would go to number 7 and then fill these details. Next, you need to do nothing here. Again, coming to number 8, you would not have a foreign, because you are not a US TIN number. So here, every company, every country would give you a tax identification number, right? Imagine you are in India, you would get, when you do the private limited, you would get a TIN number. So that is a tax identification number. You would put that number here. So this is very important. You need to fill this, and that's the part. Next one is, you would skip the next one, part 2, and then come into part 3. So in part 3, what you would fill is basically, because most of the countries that, like countries like India, they claim tax treaty benefits. So you would basically select that I'm an owner of this and fill in the country as India. And then that's the first part. And in the B, you basically claiming that, and how are you claiming these benefits, right? So basically there are 2 things. One is when you claim these treaty benefits, you need to validate 2 things. One is the ownership and erosion test. So let's look at the first one. Again, in most cases, you would check this and check this thing called company that meets the ownership and base erosion test. What this means is, ownership means more than 50% of your company, that is in India, right? Or, wherever country you're residing, should be held by people in that country, So more than 50% of the company or the private limited company should be owned by, the people in India, or the owners have to be from India. Only in that cases, you fall under this. The second one is base erosion test. So base erosion is a concept in taxation, where companies try to do some of these tax practices where they move their profits from one country to another to save taxes. Many countries have an office in Ireland, so that they save taxes. So again, I'm assuming you don't fall into that. So that's why, then if all both of these, I would say 90 to 99% of them, they fall under this. So you would select this company that meets, you know, ownership and base erosion risk. After this, there is nothing. You keep moving. There is nothing you need to fill. I think you really, really go all the way to. I think it's keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. You come to number 39. So this is where part 25. So this is where the NFFE, non-financial foreign institute entity, comes into the picture. Again, you can read it clearly that less than 50% of that, right? So again, important thing here is one more thing is basically your income, right? Let's say you're a private limited company. You cannot have your gross income coming from passive income. What it means is, let's say you are a company holding 10 buildings in America, right? And then the income that you get from those buildings is classified as passive income because you're not really doing anything. Just coming as an income. That's called passive income. So if you're getting any income as such, more than 50% from passive income, then you can't check this box. I'm assuming if you're doing advertising or you're getting any other income, through services, any of that, then you would not fall under this, right? So that is the one, right? So again, this one is also asset related. Again, you can read that. Again, most of them you would basically fall, made both of these. So that's why you would check this box, right? So that's that part. And after that, again, you keep moving, nothing to be filled. And in the last section is this one where you certify, where you check this box and put in address and, print the name and, date and all of that, right? Again, this is, looks like a very complicated form, but not very much. It's very, very simple to do. So we have written an article explaining this, in detail. So I'll put the link in the description for you to look at it. So you can read that article. Also, I'll put in a link to the tax treaty table. You can read that as well. Again, if any questions, please leave a comment and we'll try to respond. Again, thank you for watching. Do subscribe for getting regular updates.